Hello, hello. How you doing, guys? Can you hear me? For some reason, I hear myself. Let me check. Because my Twitch tab is open. Okay. Yeah, so welcome to the stream. In case you have missed the last stream, in the last one, we did these mock-ups for the app we will build together in this stream, or in the future streams here. That will essentially be a social network app for my community, for you, which is quite complex actually. Let's see how well that goes in the stream. So we just have a simple splash screen. We have login registration. We will use a Ktor backend that we'll also make in the stream here, in a future stream, not today. We have our main feed with just posts by people we actually follow. We have a post detail screen here. It's similar to Instagram in the end. Then, what is that? Oh, that is a chat screen, which we'll probably make towards the end of this project, because I think that chat is the most complex thing here. You can see just, real-time chat. We have an activity screen similar to Instagram. Just you can see, hey, this dude liked your post, commented, and stuff like that. And a profile. We can add little programming languages, badges, or whatever. We can add GitHub, Instagram, and LinkedIn links. And simply, edit our profile. It's in the end just a social network, so that you can see how I approach a project, that you can see how I struggle with projects, and how I solve bugs that I will encounter, because on YouTube everything is perfect because I record it, I perfectly cut it together, but in a stream that won't be the case. So that is the goal of these Twitch streams. Also, a lot of people asked me if I will record these streams, which I will do right now. I click on record. So I will record these and I will upload these on YouTube in future for channel members. So that will be for a very small fee, around €5 a month. Should be affordable for most people. That I will set that up in the next days, and I will also upload the first few streams for free, so you can just get an impression of how these look like on YouTube, so in case you missed all of these. And as always, if you have any questions, then just put these in the chat and I will take a look here and there. Is there an option now for choosing the video quality? That was another common question from the last time, because I have researched a bit and it looks like this transcoding stuff, so that you can choose the quality, is only available for like Twitch affiliates and Twitch partners, which I'm not yet. But maybe you only have full HD right now, but in future hopefully it will get better. I think I missed the previous stream and can't find the VOD in the channel. No, because I forgot to enable the recording option last time. I will upload it soon on my YouTube channel, so not a problem, but there was actually a technical issue that 30 minutes weren't recorded the last time. So these are lost, but like 3.5 hours are not. So most of the stream is not. But today we can actually use these mockups and start coding. So now the more exciting part starts. We will use Jetpack Compose, which is now officially stable in case you've missed it. So we can use the normal Android Studio, which hopefully gives us less issues and less pain. And the plan for today is that we implement, I don't know if we implement the whole UI yet, but at least some of these screens in Jetpack Compose, so that we can see these in the app. That is usually what I do first when I have mockups, that I just implement the UI. So I actually created a little project here. And here you have to tell me now if this is too small, because I can zoom in a little bit if that's too small, like the font. Like maybe like this, if this is better. Yeah, looks like it's too small. This is very weird for me, but is this fine now? I also, by the way, added, oh come on, do I have to make this for every screen? For every file? More than fine. Okay, let's do it like this and check the settings where I can change the font size for everything. Use custom font. I don't want a custom font. Source code pro. That looks more like it. Let's choose something like 22. Yeah, that's really big for me. But if it's fine for you, then it should be cool. So all I did in this project is that I added the dependencies. Don't know if these are all yet. That's a little bit too big. Let's make it, yeah, you're right, make it 18. Yeah, that's a lot better for me. I hope for you it's big enough as well. So all I did was I added the dependencies, which is, yeah, the compose dependencies here. We have navigation, coroutines, just the standard stuff, dagger hilt, retrofit, obviously. We need to communicate to our Ktor backend later. Timber for logging, and all the testing dependencies here. Not sure yet if you will need all of these, but that is basically just my standard dependencies I just include in all of my projects by default. And maybe we will need to edit this later. Nevertheless, the first thing I want to do is I want to set up kind of an app theme here. So in Compose, we always have this theme that Android Studio creates for us, which we can find here in our package. I'm not sure if I can change the font here, so I think you have to live with that if I leave it like that, but the code is the most important thing here. So if we take a look in theme, then we have our dark colors and our light colors. Question is, do we want to have a light theme? I don't think we want that because we only created markups for the dark theme. So I will simply do whoop and only use the dark color palette. And here for the colors, we can simply then remove that and set this to our dark color palette. If you don't know what this theming stuff is for in Compose, it basically just defines some standard colors like primary variant, secondary, and we can define some more here, which we'll do to just access these values from all over your app. And simply, yeah, if you want to change that theme, you only need to do it here and it will affect your whole app. Then, yeah, which colors do we want to have? Hey Phil, can you make your app support multiple screen size? Yeah, we will take a look at that. I'm not sure if I will make it for, I will support tablets as well. But if something looks weird on different phone screens, then obviously we will fix that. Let's take a look in our color file. We actually don't need these purple colors and stuff here. It's a little bit bad that I need to switch screens all the time here. Let's see which colors we need. So the background color is always the same. That is this, which is it? Yeah, this color. Let's define that as dark gray. Yeah, just dark gray. Then what do we have? We have the text color, the white, which is 6 times E. I like to call that text white because I don't choose a total white color for my text, only a slightly darker white. The reason for that is that this is a little bit better readable in terms of usability if you have a slightly darker white or on a dark background. Instead, if you don't do that, the contrast is very high, and the text is basically screaming at you. And I don't like this too much. How much RAM does your PC have, Philip? I have 32 gigabytes of RAM. Where can I find the previous videos? Nowhere yet. Soon on YouTube for channel members. We of course want to have our accent color, this green here, which is my standard green. Here. How do we call this? Green accent, I would say. And this gray for hints. Val. How do we call this? Light gray, I would say. And simply paste this. And yeah, we don't even have that many colors. Let's take a look. That's actually not a lot of colors we have here. I think this is the gray. I pasted? No, it's not the same one. But it's very similar. What is this? This gray is something different here. Yeah, for zero. I'll call it medium gray. This? Yes, I will be using Ktor. I hate Firebase. You will probably not see me using Firebase again in future, at least for stuff like databases and authentication. But I think that's it for the colors. So let's define that in our theme. Obviously, these ones are obsolete now. So we have a primary color, which should be our green accent. Then we don't really have a primary variant. Do we have a secondary color? I don't know which of these color values I assign something to. Definitely we have a background, which is our dark gray. We have on background, which is the color that is on our background, which is our text white. And what else do we have here? Error color is fine. On primary, that is the color on our primary color, so on our green, which is our dark gray. So that is, for example, this text color here on our button. And hey Philip, have you ever tried Flutter? Yes, I have tried that. Flutter is cool, but Dart is pretty much shit. That's why I don't use it. I have to say, for freelancing, Flutter is pretty cool because most clients actually ask for Android and iOS app, but I rather want to dive into KMM in future. Don't have a Mac yet, but my plan is to get one once the new MacBooks are out, the MacBook Pros. Which colors are we missing? On secondary, we don't have a secondary color. On surface, What's the difference between surface and background? I'm not really sure yet. I think it's, which color are we missing? Light gray is the text color, medium gray. Let's make that our surface color. Or medium gray, which is this one here. For example, you can see that is our background color here, the top gray, and this is our surface. And then we have on surface, which is this lighter gray. What is it? I think it's very similar to the hint color. What's this? Now let's make this an additional color. I will call this hint gray. Not sure if that's the best naming, but yeah, because I want to call this one light gray. And then pick that for on surface, like light gray. Welcome, Florian. How's it going? Will you upload the project in GitHub after the session? Yes, that will always be public in my GitHub repository. By the way, we can actually do that right now, pushing that to GitHub. I'm also fine, thanks. First of all, we want to get rid of this dark theme. And then we will push this initial project to GitHub. Question is, do I run this first? I hope Android Studio doesn't lead to Twitch dropping frames, or rather my PC dropping frames when I build this. Let's try this. Just see if this actually compiles and runs. And if it does, then we can push it to GitHub. And meanwhile, I can answer some questions. We will have these situations quite often here, I guess, that Gradle is building for ages. What kind of software are you using to inspect colors? Not sure which software you mean. Do you mean this one? That is Adobe XD. It dropped frames, yeah. I guess that. But it shouldn't happen too often, because only for the first build it usually lags a little bit. It doesn't need to build that much if we do it frequently. Hello Red Death BK. How's it going? Why you prefer Adobe XD? No particular reason. It's as good as Figma. You can also use Figma. Any collaboration expected possible with Coding and Flow for Twitch sessions? Yeah, I don't know. I think Florian doesn't like to stream, at least what he told me. But yeah, he says good idea. Yeah, sure. Always open for collaboration. Next time I visit Philipp. Yeah, then we go live together. Maybe also with Code Palace. That would be cool. Did you decide what DB will you be using? I guess you mean the database backend side. I think Android Studio finished. The database backend side, not yet. We'll also not be doing this in this stream, but it will be either MongoDB or PostgreSQL, one of these. So, where's my emulator? Hello Android, that looks cool. So let's push this to GitHub. Social network reach. Let's, oh, my old account, you can see. How many of you followed me so early who still know this name? What is the architecture? Use MVI? And no, I will use MVVM. Hello, Philipp. Time to kick some Indians from the WhatsApp group. Yeah, the group is not only related to coding, it's just a fun group. But if some people violate the rules, just tag me and then I will take a look. We'll use Coin for DI. For the Android app, I will use Dagger Hilt. And for Ktor, probably Coin, yes. Okay, so project is on GitHub. So if you check out my GitHub repo now, you should be able to see that, my GitHub profile, I mean. Let's start to implement the UI. Let's get rid of this shit. First of all, we have a surface which I usually just wrap around everything. Man, that is so unused, that this font is so big here. And the problem is I have quite a big screen, and that makes it much smaller for you. Let's make this first of all fill the whole size. Another question would be that should I open this emulator here in Android Studio as a window, so not as an extra window? Because Android Studio does have the option. Should be better, I guess. I think we can do this in the settings. Let's close this one. Launch in a tool window, this one. If we now launch this. Which WhatsApp group? Is it something related to channel to discuss coding? Yeah, I do have a WhatsApp group which is quite filled with people. And WhatsApp does have a limit for that. I created that over a year ago. But there is not much space in it anymore, I think. But you can also always join my Discord server. It's basically the same, just without limit. I don't have the link right now, it's on my phone. So share your GitHub link, mate. Let's take a look. You just need to use Google. GitHub Philipp Lackner. It's that easy. See? There you go. And here is the repo. Let's simply take that. Oh, someone was faster. Discord server. I don't have the link. Let's take a look. Here, take my channel. Okay. This one doesn't have any limit, so you can always use it to join my Discord. And there you have a bunch of channels to ask you questions. Then, let's see. We are here in Android Studio. I think that is a bit better if we take the emulator on the right-hand side here, like this. So we just have our blank screen. Let's first get rid of this dumb purple bar. Here, status bar color. Just color primary variant. We don't want that. It's quite weird in Compose that we have two themes. But yeah, I will just, yeah, let's define these colors again. Like here, we have our dark gray color. No, we have green accent, medium gray, light gray, and in the gray. I don't think we need this in the theme. I would say let's take the text white, which is this. Light gray. This. That looks better. Let's now take this. Question is, which color do we make this toolbar? I think our accent color is too bright. So if we take our color green accent here, I think that's too bright. I'm not sure. How do you like this? Finding color in XML versus an object. Yeah, so for our app itself, we define these colors here and in our theme. But the thing is, we still have our themes XML, which defines the stuff that we can change in Compose, I think. Like this app bar, the status bar here. I think I just make it gray. That's too bright. Just our dark gray. So we have the same background. The same color for this as for our background. Yeah, like this. It just looked like a full screen app. The icons here are white, that's fine. So let's go back. Okay, so you can find the Discord link if you scroll up a few messages here. Let's take a look which screens we need here. First of all, our splash screen. Do we start with this? Don't know if I really always want to see the splash screen. I mean, we can just put the delay to 0. Question is, do we even want to make this a separate screen in Compose? Because I have a video where this is actually also possible to have a splash screen without any screen. But I don't know, I haven't used that in Compose yet. I'm not sure if this works. Let me import my logo. I think I can open my project here. How did I call it? Splash screen. I really like to just open older projects and copy stuff over that I have done in the past. It just speeds up your coding so much, but also just to find out what I actually did back then, because I can't remember. Will you make it full screen hide notification? But I don't see any reason why we should make this app full screen. It's not like a game or anything that really needs all the space. So this one looks like full screen, but we still see the notification bar. I am miraculous. Thank you. Let me close Discord again. Let me check here in my other project. In here. Yeah, so basically what we do is we go to our themes XML, and in here we have a property that is called window background. And this window background is the color or the drawable that appears when your app is actually launching. So you can see that if we rerun this app. Not sure if this gets clear here. Yeah, now we have a white screen, and we can change that with the window background property. And we can apply a drawable to that. So our splash screen would really only display as long as our app needs to boot, and not longer. Because usually some apps have splash screens, they just delay and just show for like 5 seconds. But if we're honest, we are only annoyed by these apps. We don't want to see splash screens. It's only the developers who love their logo, but the users usually don't care. So what we do is we just show it as long as the app boots. And for that, I want to import my logo. And let me see. Don't want to show you that here. Where is my desktop? Here. This one, I think. Yes, there it is. We call it IC logo. This is quite big. Let's make it smaller, like 200 dp, maybe even 150. We import this, and then yes, let's add that to Git. Then we have it here, and we can now create a drawable file. Let me check how I did that. Yeah. So we define a new drawable file, drawable resource file, which I will call splash screen. And we make that a layer list in which we can now define items. On the one hand, we want to give this drawable a background color for our splash screen, which is Android drawable, which is just our dark gray. And then we can draw an actual XML drawable that we just imported on top of that. So another item, which is our, where we also define a drawable, this time our IC logo, and we set the gravity to center. So that will just center it. Not sure if this now works with Compose. If we now go to our themes XML and do we make it a separate theme? I mean, in Compose we only have one activity anyways, so it should be fine. Window background. And here we now pass our splash screen drawable. So let's try that out. Relaunch the app. And if it launches now and doesn't work, okay. That's weird. What if we make this a separate theme? So style, let's call it splash screen theme. The parent is something with no action bar. Let's take this one. And we just do this window background stuff here. And what if we then, I don't think that will work. No. Because we already defined that here, I think. But let's try that splash screen theme. Set that to our activity. Nah. Doesn't look like that. Okay. Then we need to do it differently. Fine. Let's remove this stuff again, and this too here. You have to apply theme and manifest. Yeah, it is applied by default here. That is our theme from our style. I mean, it also changed something when we did this with dark gray here. So if we relaunch the app, then the bar here will turn gray again. Can we use bitmap? I think you can also use bitmaps in drawable files. Yeah, so you can see now it actually changed something when we changed something in the theme here. Don't know why the window background doesn't work. In XML it did, but let's do it differently. And first structure this a little bit. So I want to use a clean architecture approach here, which I'm also a little bit new to. So like using use cases and the usual MVVM stuff. In the end, we have a presentation layer, a domain layer, and a data layer. If you don't know why we separate our app like that, the reason is simply it makes it so much easier to extend it. It makes it so much easier to test it. And also, if we separate our app into presentation, so everything that's visible on our screen, into domain, which is the business logic, and into data, which communicates with an API or a database, then if we change something in one of these layers, that also means that we can usually only break something in one of these layers. So we don't actually want to change something in the domain layer and break something in the data layer. That shouldn't happen. And if we separate these layers like that, then yeah, then this shouldn't happen. The UI package is something that comes from Compose. I usually break this in the presentation layer. The main activity as well. Because with Compose we just have this single activity, and in this presentation layer we will then have packages for our single screens. So let's make this splash screen. Let's just call it splash. And I want to have a util package as well, in which I will now create the navigation stuff. Navigation. So let's define that here. I have a detailed tutorial about navigation in Compose, so I won't go into that in detail here. We just have our nav controller. We can use to simply navigate between screens we define here. And then we have our nav host, where we can pass this nav controller. We don't want a graph, instead a start destination. And here now we need to think about how we call our different screens. For that, I like to create a helper class for each screen, which is a sealed class. And this here class takes a route. So in XML that was different, there we defined this nav graph. Here we don't have this. Instead, it's more like for web development. We have these routes, which are the equivalent to URLs. And then we have our screens here. So first we have our splash screen. And the route will just be splash screen. Yeah, then we have a lot more screens here. We have a login screen, register screen, how do you call it? Main feed screen, I would say. Why do you define it as object? Because these don't need any parameters. If you want to pass some parameters to these screens, then you need to make these data classes. So you can see then you would do it like this, and here pass some parameters. But if you don't have parameters, you can't define data classes. And you can simply make these objects. It's the easiest way. What else do we have? Our post detail, chat messages. Then we have our profile screen, edit profile screen. We have a search screen, person list screen, activity screen. Man, that is a lot of screens. Person list screen. Then create post screen, activity screen, and I think one is missing, the search screen. Is the neural network stable? Have you experienced any problems with it? Not yet, no. Seems stable. I've heard from some people that some configuration changes, but I haven't noticed any of that yet. Okay, so now we have our screens that we defined here. Obviously, we need to change the names for these. Post detail, chat screen, edit profile screen. You can choose anything you like here for these names. It's just to identify a specific screen. What's SonarLint? That is a simple linting tool. If you don't know what a linter is, it's basically a tool that analyzes your code and gives you warnings. More warnings than Android Studio gives you by default. It just helps you to have a clean code, and sometimes you do something unintentionally, and it notifies you about that. I would always use a similar tool. And finally, search screen. Fine. Let's take a look back in navigation. Can your app support multiple backstack? I personally haven't worked with that yet, but I think the Android team talked about something like that in the past. Don't know if it's with the old navigation component or if it's with the compose navigation. Maybe it would be something to find out, but yeah, let's not prioritize that for now. We now just define our start destination, and now we can use, man, I can't do this on one line, it's too big. We now define the start destination using our screen class, a dot splash screen dot route. So now we can always easily access these routes here. Yeah, the new update for nav components has that. But in Compose, we don't use navigation component. We use navigation compose. Are these route objects singleton? Yes. These objects are singletons. So we can easily just access these routes like that. And if we need to put it in more data for a screen, we can simply make that a data class and put it in the constructor. Okay, so let's have our composables. If you don't know how this works, if you haven't used Compose yet, we just define these composable blocks here in which we define a route for that composable. So these are basically just screens of our app, like our splash screen. And then we have this block here. In this block, we just put a composable that should be displayed when we visit that route. It's very easy. Let's also do our next composable block here. I won't do all of these for now. We will first implement the splash screen. The route will be, yeah, what is the next screen? Should be login, I think. This one. So how will we do this? Let's first commit this. Implemented basic package structure and basic navigation setup. Mid and push. Is it my internet or his? I think that's your internet. I mean, I see my bitrate here, and it's quite stable. Unless more of you say that it's slaggy or whatever. What keys do you use to highlight every word, for example, in brackets? Not sure what you mean with that. To highlight every word? Do you mean like this? So when I have the cursor here, I press Control, Shift, and right arrow. Then I select the whole word. And I think I also set up a shortcut to... No, okay, that wasn't planned. You can also set a shortcut to select the whole line. But it's get used to this. This speeds up your coding so much. You can just easily select this, cut it, paste it, whatever. I just joined how much I missed. You missed not too much. We just implemented the basic theming for our app, and now we're at the navigation stuff. So we now want to put in a composable here in this block that defines our splash screen. We do this in our package here called splash screen. Like this. And this will need a reference to our nav controller because we want to navigate from the splash screen to the next screen. How long will this stream last? Yeah, the last one was 4 hours. And yeah, maybe today will be similar. I'm not sure yet how frequently I will stream. I actually want to stream more frequently than just once a week. But I'm not that consistent yet with having the same day. Not sure. I mean, Sunday itself is a good day, but Sunday is also a day where I'm not always at home. Like next week, for example, I can stream Sunday. So how many of you could actually also watch streams at a similar time between Monday and Friday? That would also be cool to know, because in the week, so not on the weekend, then I'm usually at home. How many words can you type per second? I don't know. I think it was something between 90 and 100 last time I made the test. But not with coding stuff, with normal words. So, yeah. Splash screen, what do we have? We want to have our logo display in the center of the screen. So let's define a box. We use a box to center stuff. Modifier will be modifier fill max size. And content alignment will also be center. And then I actually recorded a tutorial for a splash screen today, so I'm quite in it. In the box, we want to center an image. With the painter resource, our drawable, our logo. Import R. I see. How did I call it? Why don't I have it here? Where's my logo? It's gone. Where is it? I deleted it, really? Okay. Nobody saw that. Here is it. I see logo. Yeah, let's try that again. Yeah, I think when I had the previous splash screen approach, you're right. I think we chose 150 here. We can change this anyways. I see logo. I have a content description of logo. Then, do we want to animate this a little bit? Like little scale up, overshoot or so? Why did you draw this? Logo is complex SVG. Sometimes Studio doesn't support these complex path lines. I didn't draw this. I'm not that talented. That made a graphic designer from Fiverr. So if we just go back to our navigation stuff here and use our splash screen here and pass the nav controller and take the navigation composable, put it in our surface, we should be able to see something here. Philipp, I think off-topic questions should be answered later or in small breaks. It's slowing the flow a bit. Yeah. How many of you also see it like that? Is it annoying if I keep answering questions that are not related to the coding here? I mean, we can also do like every 30 minutes or so, we just make a 5-minute break where we answer questions. How's that? And my recording again stopped, man. I don't know what that is. I have to look into that. Last stream that also happened. No, yes, no, yes. Man, that's not so helpful. Let's try the break approach. And then see how you like it. Some people agree, some people disagree. Yeah. Let's work a little bit on this project. I will answer questions that are related here to this project, and then we'll have some breaks where we'll answer other questions. Or if you have a question that is only answerable right now, then yeah, I'll also just do it. Okay, you can see my splash screen displays. Looks cool. Is a little bit too big in my opinion. We can change this here. Let's animate this a bit. Val scale is equal to remember. And we want to use an animatable. In which we can define an initial value for our scale. 0f. So we want to scale it up. And then we have a launched effect block in which we can trigger this animation. We pass true for the key. So in case you don't know this launch effect block, it's a so-called effect handler that is used to handle effects. So we basically have a coroutine scope here. We can delay this coroutine And we also have this key that we can pass here. This key is used to basically fire off this block again, this coroutine, whenever the key changes. So we can pass some kind of state here, for example, a Boolean value, and whenever the Boolean changes, the coroutine here will be cancelled and relaunched. That is the purpose of launched effect. We don't pass a state here, instead we just pass true, because this true will never change. That means the block here will never be fired off again. So all we achieve here is this launched effect block will just fire off once when splash screen is composed for the first time, and then it will just display our animation. Yeah, let's do that. So we can use our scale. We could say animate to. So we can animate it to another value, the target value, which is, well, this would be scale 1. That is too big. I want to make it like half of that. Let's say target value is 0.5f, so 50%. And we can define an animation spec to give it a duration. We can use a tween and set duration millis to 5 or 400, 500. And what's interesting, because right now if we launch this, we should be able to see something. No, not really. Because, yeah, we don't apply this to our image, obviously. Let's do that. Modifier is modified at scale. And pass our scale at value. Now you should see an animation. Yeah, more or less. So that's a shitty interpolator, which we want to change to like an overshoot interpolator, which I think would look cool here. We can do that here, because Compose doesn't have that by default, the overshoot interpolator. We can define, how's it called? Easing. A custom easing function. So we basically get a float value here, which is the fraction of the animation that is already played. So if we are at like 200 milliseconds, then this fraction would be 40%, so 0.4. And we can now take this fraction and return the actual target value, the scale state here should have at a very specific time. So we already have an overshoot interpolator here. We can also define that up here. Which is implemented in Android, in the Android framework, but not in Compose as an easing function. We can easily write that on our own. Make this remember, overshoot interpolator, and just define some kind of tension. Let's say 2f. And here we say overshoot interpolator.get interpolation, which takes our fraction and returns the target value. And if we increase this like to 2 seconds, then you should be able to see this animation quite nicely. You can see there is the little overshoot animation. Obviously that is way too slow. That's better. And what is the overshoot? Yeah, it means that it will not just animate to our target value, instead it will animate a little bit more than that. So maybe to 0.6 or 0.7, and then go back to our target value. So maybe let's make it to 5 seconds. Then you can see that how overshoot looks like. So it first gets bigger, then it gets really big, and then it gets a little bit smaller again. That's just what an overshoot animation is called. I will choose 500 here. And maybe, is it, I think it's the size is fine. What happens if the app is launched in landscape mode? Yeah, that shouldn't be an issue. How can I do that here with the emulator? Not sure. Here? No. This one probably. And is there rotation? Oh, I have to click. Then you can see it. It just works perfectly fine. All right. That's it for the splash. Not yet. We have to also delay it. What do we do here? After we animate the scale value, we want to delay the coroutine. And for that, I like to create a constant. Make a util package for that. Just for how long we want to delay this stuff. A const val splash screen duration. Let's set it to 3 seconds. Then delay the coroutine. And after the delay, we use our nav controller and navigate to our next screen. Our login screen. So if you now implement the login screen, just a very basic version of that, then we should be able to see this, how this works. Also pass the nav controller here. And let's for now just have a box in here. Modify fill max size. And content alignment center. And format this bit. And then in here we can just display a little text for now. This is the login screen. And give it a color of white. If we now go back to navigation and put in the login screen composable here for the login screen route. Then we should be able to see that. So now after 3 seconds, we should navigate to the login screen. So there we go. 1, 2, 3. And there we go. There's a login screen. So the splash screen is working fine. I haven't learned compose yet. Should I be here or not? You can surely be here. You probably won't understand everything, but you will learn something. Question is, do we want to start writing UI test cases for compose? Or do we want to implement the other screens first? Will it clear the stack? No, it does not clear the stack yet. I think, of course we want to do that. I think we can do that here in this block. Can we say pop up to? So how does this work? Pop up to AD. Here, pop up. We can choose a route here, and the route is screen.splash screen.route. So let's hope this works, because what I'm doing right now, and what who said it, and some kind of number. What they meant is we don't clear the backstack yet with this approach. So if we click back, our splash screen will just fire off again. Obviously, that's not what we want. We want the app to quit. So after we navigate, we try to pop everything up to the splash screen. And maybe this works now. Yeah, looks like people really want to see UI testing in Compose. I'm also very new to that, I have to say. I haven't really worked a lot with UI testing in Compose, and we don't use Espresso for that. It's another kind of UI testing. But I think what I've tried for now, in regards to UI testing in Compose, is that it seems to be a little bit better than Espresso, because we don't have all these activity and fragment scenarios like in Espresso. And I think what we can also easier test now, I haven't tried that out yet, but I will definitely in this app, is that we can better write end-to-end tests. That if we like navigate through our whole app and make sure some UI elements are on the screen or so, because we don't have these different fragment scenarios anymore, that was always a pain with XML. So I now changed this line here to pop everything in our backstack. Now we should be navigated, or we should close this app if we click back. And no, it's not the case. Maybe we need to pass our login screen. Don't know if this is inclusive or exclusive. Go back. No, it doesn't work. Why? Pop up to builder we have here. What is that? Inclusive is true. Let's try that. And then set this to splash screen again. What does it do? Pop up to a given destination before navigating. You can first pop backstack, then navigate. Yeah. I wonder how this function here works. And now it crashes. Doesn't seem like it works like that. Nav graph cannot be cast to. Oh, come on. Yeah, let's try that we pop it before. So we say nav controller pop backstack. And yeah, now it works. Perfect. So yeah, you really want to see UI tests. Well, all we can test right now is if the splash screen works. So I will also need to figure this out here. But let's do that. So how many of you actually know testing here? That would be cool to know. So on the one hand, unit testing and integration and UI testing. Because it's good to know how much I explain here. Okay, looks like most people don't. Not really proficient in testing, but I know the basics. I don't. Yeah, cool. Because I didn't talk too much about that on YouTube. I have a playlist about testing, but yeah, it covers the basics and also nothing about Compose. Okay, looks like I will explain quite a bit here. And I will also have to learn quite a bit here. So maybe a little bit introduction to testing. We have 3 different so-called source sets here in Android. I'm sure also if you haven't done testing, you've noticed these. We have COM, we have COM Android test, and we have COM test. And probably you only have used this COM source set. That is your main source set in which you put your source code of your app. The two other source sets, Android test and test, are used for your test cases, obviously. The test source set is used for unit tests. Unit tests just test single classes and single functions of your app. So that these kind of tests should make up the majority of your test cases. You have a lot of these run really fast, these run on the JVM, so you don't need to run your emulator to run these test cases. And they test business logic in the end. So stuff in view model, stuff in use cases, that's basically it. And that's also a reason why we design the architecture like we design it, because it allows us to really easily test it. Yeah, so unit tests should make up about 70% of your test cases. Then the next step would be integration tests. They should make up about 20% of your test cases. And integration tests, they don't just test how a single class or function behaves, they test how two classes work together. So, but let's take the example of XML. You, for example, want to test how does your fragment work together with your view model. That is what an integration test would do. Then finally, the last missing 10% are so-called end-to-end tests. Those are the closest to reality, you can say. So you really want to see, you want to simulate how your user would use your app. And these are also the most, which is the most painful to write, the longest tests. But they cover a lot of stuff in your app. So that could, for example, be, hey, the user logs in, the user adds a node, the node is saved, then the user clicks on edit, edits the node, and saves it again, and just verifying if everything in that activity, in that action works as expected. That are end-to-end tests. And now these two source sets we have here, Android test and test, are used for our different test cases. The test directory contains tests that run on the JVM. So we don't need to run these on the emulator, which makes these very fast. Those are used for unit tests. On the other hand, we have Android test. Android test contains all the test cases that are integration tests and UI tests. So in this Android test directory, we can actually access Android components. For example, the context. We can't access context in the test directory. And yeah, also stuff like fragments, activities, everything related to Android that's not included in plain Java or Kotlin. And these run on the Android emulator or on your physical device. And that makes them a little bit slower because your app needs to run to make these tests run. If we want to do UI testing here and see if our splash screen works, we need to put these in Android test. So yeah, I don't know if I have the dependencies for that. Yeah, so here I commented this with instrumented unit tests. An instrumented test is just a test that runs on the emulator in the end. And we have local unit tests, which are the tests that run on the JVM. We have different kinds of dependencies here, test implementation. This dependency only applies to the test source set. And these Android test dependencies only to the Android test source set. So these won't be included in your production build, obviously, because you don't want these test dependencies there. Yeah, I don't go through the detailed dependencies here now. I will do this as we go on in this project. Because yeah, that would overwhelm you here if we don't even use these now. But I'm wondering if we have compose testing here. I think that is it. So JUnit, that's important to know. That is the basic testing framework in Android. And for Java, it's basically the test runner. It makes sure that your tests run. It makes sure, or it rather shows you, hey, these tests failed. That was the reason. Not always was the reason, but it maybe if it crashes, it tells you that. It is the foundation of your test cases, you can say. And we can assign a version here, by the way. I think we already have that down here. We can remove this. Good. So let's take a look here. I think what we can do is we can press Alt plus Enter and say create test. Oops. And the testing library won't be JUnit 3, it will be JUnit 4. We can use JUnit 5 in Android for local tests, local unit tests. But I'll just use JUnit 4 for everything here. I'll call this splash screen test. And now it asks us where we want to put this test. We want to put it in Android test because it is a UI test. So every test that we write must be put into into such a test class. So in this test class, we just have a bunch of test functions that have some values given, and then the functions do something with our code. And then after that, these functions check if specific conditions are basically fulfilled or not. So in case of our splash screen, what we want to do is, oh man, I don't really know. My Streamlabs always cancels my recording. That is super annoying. Maybe I have to record it with a different software next time. But then I don't have all the streaming stuff here in the recording. Let me quickly check that why it does it. That's really annoying because I want to upload that. I'm using Streamlabs OBS. It is not fully recorded. That was also an issue last time. The recording just stops without telling me anything about that. And then some parts of the stream are missing. But I mean, this time I also enable that you can see it on Twitch afterwards. So Twitch will should definitely have it. And in the worst case, I just watch it on Twitch and record my stream, my screen there if I can't download it directly. So this stream shouldn't be lost. Yeah, I plan to upload for channel members. That's true, but the first streams will be free for anyone, just so that everyone can see how these streams are. And if you then like it, then yeah, you can subscribe. But let me, I will check that later. This will be on. Let me quickly just verify that I enabled the option on Twitch that streams are recorded. I think it's called VOD or so, right? Yeah, no, at least it tells me it's broadcasting. And it displays in my video list here on Twitch. Last time it didn't, I think. Yeah. Let's see after the stream. So back to Android. Yeah, maybe there's a limit to how much you can record through Streamlabs. Not really, because last time it recorded like for 2 hours and then broke. Now I'm already pressing record for the 3rd time in just 1.5 hours. When will be the Q&A break? I'm just doing that right now. So let's have 5-minute Q&A before we write the test case here. You can ask anything you like. What are the specs of your PC? I already said 32 gigabytes of RAM. I have an Intel i7 7700K, and graphic card is actually like a GeForce Super 2550 or so. Have you tried Linux? Yes, I have tried Linux. I also have Kali Linux installed next to Windows, but I never really use it. I can't really use Linux in my daily workflow because I depend on all the Adobe software. Don't really depend on it. I know some Linux people will come now, hey, there's an alternative. No, there's not. I love Adobe software. Will I stream in the afternoon German time usually? Yes. So that the time will always be around 4 or 5 p.m. here in Germany. Right now it's 6:30. Did you graduate? Yes, I did. How's the new table? It's great. It's a standing table, an electrical standing table. And I'm daily working on it standing for 3 hours. And the rest I'm sitting. It's really cool. It's also nice to record videos when standing. It's more like a presentation mode. Will the stream be available on Twitch after the session ends? Yes. I hope so, but I checked the box. What is SonarLint? I already talked about that. It's a linting tool that tells you additional warnings that Android Studio doesn't give you. Helps you to make your code cleaner. Bro, should we write tests for every stuff in our project? You should write test cases for as much stuff as possible. It's rare that you can get 100% test coverage, but you should write as many tests as possible. I mean, not as many as possible. You should write as many as possible, but also as many as necessary. I mean, you shouldn't go ahead and write like 100 test cases for a single function. Just as many as you really need to cover that function to test all the edge cases and stuff like that. How's Mario Kart going? It's great. Yeah, I was visiting a friend and we played a lot of Mario Kart. When is the next stream? You said you're not available next Sunday. Yes, I am not there yet next Sunday. I'm thinking about doing a stream on Thursday. So yeah, let's make it official. I'm streaming next Thursday. Same time. Also 5 p.m. German time. Are you going to use Compose in this project? Yes, I will. Have you any backlogs? No, I don't. I'll just take the mockups and implement them here and do the rest. Link to table. I don't think that will help most of you here because it's a German shop. I don't think they ship worldwide. I'm thinking of building a new PC soon. Can you help me? What specs should I use? I'm on a budget. Yeah, we are usually on a budget. I'm not that up to date in regards to PC specs and hardware. I mean, if you want to do Android development, then you should have a decent one, but you don't need a high-end machine. Wait, let me try something out. Oh. Shit. I'm just realizing something. Guys. It looks like my my shortcut to mute my microphone is the same as stopping the recording. And that is why the recording always stops. Let's change that better. Yeah, press F, please. Yeah. Okay, now it doesn't stop anymore. Professional today. Let's see which other questions. Let's forget about that. Then at least I know that for the next stream it will record till the end. And this stream we have the recording on Twitch, so everything is saved. And in the worst case, I don't know if I can download my streams that are saved on Twitch. That would be the best. If not, then I will just leave it open and record the stream. Record the screen in which the stream is running, which is probably a bit bad quality-wise, but at least for the next stream it will be fine, as long as I remember recording it. Yeah, let's see, where have I been? Which question? How can I save crash logs on a physical device? I'm not sure in how far that's possible. I had a similar issue recently with a client. Don't know. I mean, you can save logs that your app makes, but I'm not sure if you can save crash logs in a file. You can definitely use something, as someone said here. You can definitely use Firebase Crash Analytics. That's actually what it's used for. Can you spot a little bit about your next course? Yes, I can, which I will actually start recording soon, which is about Canvas in Jetpack Compose. So it will be a course that covers everything about Canvas. So you will really learn how to make custom UI with functionality, with animations, and there won't be any open questions regarding Canvas. Can you upload your plan on Twitch? Yes, I have tried that with a schedule, but for some reason I can only enter days that I stream regularly. So every Sunday, every Saturday or so. And I don't have such a day yet where I say, okay, I can definitely stream every Sunday, because that's not the case. So probably I will choose a day between like Monday and Thursday, because I'm usually at home at these times. Are you backbencher? I don't know what you mean. How high were you? How were you at studies in high school? Not how high I was. How were you at studies in high school? Yeah, here in Germany we don't have such thing as high school, but I know what you mean. I was decent. I wasn't like the best, but I also wasn't the worst. Like slightly above average, I would say. What is your classmate reaction about your YouTube work? Yeah, which classmates? I mean, sure, I'm not studying anymore, but in my university, I actually didn't have that many people I regularly did stuff with. So I always just have friends that are not in my same studies, that are doing something else. Just in my experience, people in computer science degrees usually just a lot of these are just these typical nerds, and I always felt like I couldn't really do much with these people, because I'm thinking differently, I'm acting differently. So yeah, my friends, obviously they like what I do. Otherwise they probably wouldn't be my friends. At least it sorted. Is it the same reason why we can see previous VOD? Yeah, for the previous stream on Twitch, I didn't know that I have to explicitly say I want to put that on Twitch. So that's why it's not on Twitch, but there I have the recording except for 30 minutes. So yeah, that will be soon on YouTube for free. So let's make 3 more questions and then go on here. Man, I love watching these. They show me even professionals like you make stupid mistakes like this. Yeah, sure, we all do. You can download your streams. That's cool. His Ktor course was really awesome. Yeah, thanks. Glad you liked it. Do you do web dev now, or have you left it? I did that for like a week or so. No, I like web dev itself, but I didn't really like teaching it on YouTube. Like, it's so tedious with all that HTML and CSS stuff all the time. And then there are thousands of different frameworks, and yeah, no. Android and Kotlin's cooler. Do you play any games? No, not really. Did you have any startup plans? And if yes, then what? No, don't have any plans, but I could imagine doing something in future. Don't know if it's startup, but I want to have my own company definitely in future. Do you know Python? Yes, I do. Push the code. I will do that after we write the tests. You like doner kebab? Yes. Best thing in the world. No, pizza is the best thing, but that comes afterwards. Okay, guys. Short toilet break, and then I'll be back in 2 minutes. Okay. Welcome back. Let's write some test cases. Okay, so how are we going to do this? What actually do we want to test? We want to test, I mean, there is not that much to test. We just want to test that our image shows up, our splash screen image, and that after the delay here, we navigate to our next screen. That is what we want to test. So in JUnit, if we want to have a function that is a test case, we annotate it with test. And then let's say, how do we call this? Splash screen displays and disappears, I would say. Okay, now I'm totally new to compose testing. Let's open the good old Android documentation. So we have our compose test rules, so we can define these rules here with JUnit, which just give us specific behavior in our test cases. So let's do that. Val compose test rule, and that is it, what was it? Create. It is Android compose rule. Yeah, I've used that before. Like this. And here we need to define our activity, which is just main activity. And with this rule, we can now, yeah, so you can see we can use the rule to set our content for this specific test case. And then we can just do some actions. We can perform, we can simulate clicks. We can then make sure that a specific text is displayed or whatever. That is UI testing. So we want to make sure that we use the compose test rule and set the content. It's the same function as here in our activity. Just that this only applies for the test case here. We want to use our theme, this one. and then set the content to our splash screen. And the nav controller, yeah, good question. Where do we get that from? For that, we need something that's called a mock. Yeah, we are already diving quite deep into testing. So a mock in testing is basically how do I say? It's an object that doesn't have the real behavior. So usually we have the nav controller that's used to navigate between our different screens. But in our test case, we don't have access to the nav controller we use here. So we just define a so-called mocked nav controller that just has a bunch of functions that don't do anything. Or we can also define what these functions should return for this specific test case. And the good thing about that is we can track, or the mock itself tracks how often which function of it is called. So we can then later check that if we wait for this delay, we can then check if the pop backstack function and navigate function of the mock is actually called or not. So that is how we test if the navigation works. So for that, I will use the library mock-k. There's also mock-Ktor, which is popular, but mock-k is a Kotlin implementation of a mocking library. I prefer that. And we can define these mocks here. On top, nav controller. And well, let's make a delayed in that variable. Nav controller. And we can annotate this with relaxed mock-k. So a relaxed mock is, as far as I know, just a mock with empty functions. So these functions don't have implementations. We use these annotations to mark this as a mock, and then we have in testing what we need all the time, a function called setup. And we annotate the setup function with before. So the setup function is called by JUnit before every single test case. So it's used to initialize objects, to initialize mocks, for example. And that just makes it very easy. So we don't need to do that in every single test case over and over again. Instead, the setup function does it for us. So I think, what do we need to do here? Mock-k annotations, I think. .init. And we pass our test class. And then this should actually initialize this as a mock. And then we can pass that nav controller here. Why is there no run with annotation for the class? Well, we can do that. That's true. No, the reason is just because I created the test class and didn't think of that. I think it's Android JUnit 4. Is it class runner or runner? Let's try this. Android JUnit for class runner. Oh, it's just class, I think. Yes. Android JUnit. Yeah, let's take this. I think it's just class. Yeah. So we now have our mock here. And what do we want to do now? Now, it's also tricky because we want to test a coroutine. And there is a delay here in our splash screen. Here, and we obviously don't want this delay in our test case. So what we do is we say that is equal to run blocking test. That's a test function. Let's put this up here. And with this run blocking test, we can manually forward a coroutine. And that is quite helpful. I haven't done this in quite a while. Let's see how this works. So first of all, what is experimental coroutine API? That is just, this run blocking test is just annotated with this experimental coroutines API. Means maybe this changes in future. I think it's unlikely. That function already exists quite a while, but yeah, it gives you a warning if you don't have that annotation. So now we want to make sure that first of all, the splash screen is displaying the image. How do we do this? We use our compose test rule. Or do we? Yeah, I think so. And here we have these functions on node. So a node is basically just a UI element on our screen. And we now need to somehow find the image that we want to check. We want to assert something for. And we have different ways to do that. We have on node with content description, so we can find a specific composable with a content description. And we actually have that for our splash screen. Here, logo. So we can say on node with content description. The label, I think that is the content description. Let's also do it like this. So you can see that the label is logo. And then we can assert exists, I would say. So I think with that we just check if there is a composable that has the content description logo, which is our image here. So we first check if it is actually on our screen. Then what we want to do is we want to, how do we do this? We can now use this, which refers to our test coroutine scope. We can use advanced time by. So we can advance the time of the coroutine to skip the delay. I think that is it. This could totally fail here, what I'm doing. But we want to advance it by our constant dot splash screen duration. And then we can use verify, which comes from mark K. There is no need for advanced time by. Why? I think, oh yeah, I think you're right. I think run blocking test already skips all delays by default. Yes, you're right. Thank you. So we can remove this. And now we can use verify, which comes from mark K. And with that we can verify that a function of a marked object was called. And we can do a lot more with that. But in our simple case here, we just want to make sure that the pop backstack and navigate function was called. So we use a nav controller and say that pop backstack and navigate. And it even checks if it was called with specific parameters. So we can say screen dot login screen dot route. So we make sure that the navigate function was actually called with the route of our login screen. And let's see if this fails. And it's actually cool that we have a lot more average viewers as in the last stream, probably because we do coding here. I think I need 75 average viewers in multiple streams, so I can become Twitch partner. That's my goal, man. So let's see. You can now see that the test case will launch in our emulator. And it failed. So I could not set up hidden API. Oh man, what is that? Add splash screen test. What is that? Could not set up hidden API exemptions. Is this actually the correct test runner? I'm not sure. Oops, let's Google that. Android testing example. Let's see. Yeah, it's just Android JUnit 4. Maybe that's not even it, but that's definitely one issue. JUnit 4. Let's try that again. Nope. Yeah, still same error. Mark K agent exception. Let's Google. We're not the first one. Nav controller is not connected to nav graph. Yeah, question is, does it really need to be connected because it's a mark? They say they run successfully in API 29, but fail on 30. I'm also using 30. Let's try if it runs on 29. We'll probably drop a few frames. Oh yes. Man, launching an emulator is always the most difficult thing for Android Studio in terms of lag. Let's see. Okay, wow, no logcat output for this device. Thanks for nothing, Android Studio. Let's run again. Yeah, it showed something. And now it gives us output. Verification failed. Pop backstack was not called. Yeah. That's already a very tricky test case, actually. So I'm not sure if it actually waits for these two functions to be called. That is tricky. So let's just make sure that the test itself works if we remove the verify block. Why do we even need to test the splash screen? Because, yeah, if we change something later, we want to quickly verify that everything works as expected. That's why we write test cases at all. And I also want to learn compose testing. Let's run this again like this. So this should now succeed. Yes, it does. So the test itself is working, but the mocking stuff doesn't. Why? I have the feeling that this launch effect block launches a different coroutine in a different scope, and it doesn't use this scope. And the scope that this one uses might not cancel the delay. Not sure how we can we actually assign a coroutine scope here? No. How do we test this launched effect? That's the question. Let's comment this delay out and see if this actually works. Yeah, you can see now that works. That's the issue. So now it actually verifies that these two functions are called. But the issue is that it doesn't skip this delay. Maybe we can try this. I don't think it helps us, but we can try advanced time by. But whoever said that was right. I also have that in my mind, that run blocking test actually skips delays. I think it also says that here. Yeah. Isn't that something like idling resource that Espresso has? I don't think so. I mean, I don't know. No, this doesn't work. Oh man. What we can try is, let me quickly see. There is a special coroutine test rule that we sometimes need. And it basically makes sure that we use the main dispatcher for everything, I think. Wait a second. Can I do this? I'll just quickly copy this over from another project and then show you that. So let's go in here and I will paste the util package here. That's basically just a specific rule here that we usually only apply to unit tests, I think. I mean local unit tests. And here you can see it sets the main dispatcher to our test dispatcher. So there's a special coroutine dispatcher. And this is usually helpful for local unit tests because the main dispatcher relies on the main looper, which basically just keeps the thread alive. And in local unit tests, we don't launch our app on the emulator. And we only have that main looper on the emulator and not on the JVM itself. So what this rule does for local unit tests is it just makes sure that we use a different dispatcher as the main one. So it doesn't rely on that main looper. I'm really not sure if this does anything here. So coroutine rule is equal to coroutine scope. Oh no, main coroutine scope rule. And annotate this. And then we can say coroutine rule.run blocking test. I don't know. Have you tried the new splash screen API now? Not yet. And I think it's only for Android 12. Is it? No, I don't think that works. No, it doesn't finish at all. Nah. Not a good idea. That is really tricky already for the first test case. All I actually want to do is I want to replace the coroutine scope here with our test coroutine scope. Maybe. I doubt that there are people who actually also had this issue, but we don't want to use delay in test cases. Test cases should be quick. But let's Google for Jetpack Compose test launched effect coroutine scope maybe. Doesn't look like people had these issues before. Oh man, what do we do? I mean, if we could pass a scope here, that wouldn't be an issue. But we can't. Is there maybe a test version of that? Launched effect? No, not really. So the thing is, if we would use delay here, I think it should work. So if we delay the test case, which we obviously don't want, maybe it even skips that. I think so, but Espresso can be used in Compose if you like. I think the Compose testing stuff is actually cool. No, this also doesn't work. But this is also nothing we want. That is tricky. What do we do? Launched effect swap out scope. Oh look, cool video suggestion here. Yeah, that's the issue with Compose. You barely find anything helpful for such issues. So I think all we can do for now is we can't really make sure that we navigate afterwards. I'm thinking about if we can maybe get rid of this launched effect stuff here. I mean, there is a coroutine scope in Compose we can get, but we shouldn't use this in Composable itself. We should only use that in callback functions, which this here is not. Something we could try, I'm not sure if that's a good idea, is using a normal side effect. And then using a coroutine scope in there. Don't think that's a good idea. There are idling resources to handle it. Let me check that. It's a very long while since I worked with these resources. Compose can synchronize tests and the UI. So how does this work? Register idling resource. I mean, let's just try that. Let's do this up here, I guess. Register idling resource. And what did they pass for that? Well, how do we get this? Idling resource. Man, this is... How is this helpful? I want to know how I can create this. Of the idling resource. I mean, they just use an idling resource variable here. But they don't tell me how I can create this. Then let's try this manual synchronization. Compose test rule main clock auto advance. Main clock auto advance is true. Let's do that here. What did they do then? Wait for idle. Let's just do and paste it here. And I think we should put this in between here if I get this right. No. It's also weird that it doesn't give me any logs sometimes. And now it runs forever. That is weird. Wait for idle, because maybe I should remove this. And let me quickly ban this guy. Why doesn't it give me even a little bit of output? This is very weird. So let's see what this actually does. This is a blocking call, returns only after compose is idle. What if we... but it says auto advance, so I guess it makes that automatically. But I'm not sure in how far we need this idling resource for coroutines. Because usually for coroutines we use this run blocking test scope. This already skips delays by default. I'm I'm rather thinking about if we can rewrite this a little bit. So I don't think that's a good idea what I'm planning, but I will try it out. We will have a routine scope here and set this to remember routine scope by default. And I'm not sure if we can launch these in side effect blocks. I know that we shouldn't launch these here. We should only launch these in callbacks, but I'm not sure if we can. We're supposed to do that in here. So what I'm thinking is we say routine scope that launch, and then we put this stuff in there like this. Let's quickly check if the app works as usual. I mean, if the splash screen still works. Yeah, it looks like that. And now we can, here for the splash screen, we pass our nav controller, but we can now also pass a routine scope, which we can just pass our run blocking scope for. Let's see if this works. No. Why not? At least it gives us an error this time. Verification failed. Do we also need to define a dispatcher? Like, let's try that, but that also shouldn't be it. Routine dispatcher is equal to dispatchers.main. And then we say routine scope here. And we pass the dispatcher here. Then we can pass our test dispatcher for that, but I don't think that's it, to be honest. Do we have a dispatcher here? No. Let's define that. Test dispatcher. Test routine dispatcher. Make that private. Try running with run blocking and advanced by. That's true, I can also try that after this here. I want to do test dispatcher.run blocking test now. And here I want to pass the dispatcher here for this one. Yeah, you see, but that is exactly what I want to show you here. That behind the scenes, nothing is perfect. And I'm also struggling a lot with simple things. You can see it doesn't work again. Yeah, let's try that as a last thing, what Lolin suggested here. I also don't feel like that's a good solution, even if it would have worked. So let's just undo all of that. And in the worst case, we just can't test the navigation behavior at the moment. But yeah, that is something that Compose definitely lacks at the moment, that you can just find something about it online. Okay. That's definitely a good solution right now, but let's see if we can test this by just using run blocking. Oops. And do we actually have advanced time here? No, we don't even have that here. Let's still try that. No. Okay, let's not care about that and say we don't want this. Maybe I take a look at that off stream, I mean. But yeah, if we leave it like that, then the test is actually running, I think. What is the warning? The unit test should return unit. Oh, okay, yeah. It's not even running. What is it? I mean, we have tested that. Why isn't it running anymore? Yeah, now it's running. Weird. Well, okay. So the test case is working that we check if the image is actually displaying. Yeah. Thinking about if we can somehow test the animation, but yeah, let's actually continue just implementing the app for now. And as we go, we implement further tests. Because we're hanging on this splash screen for quite a while already. Let's take a look. Next up is this login screen. Yeah. So how do we do this? I think we just have a box here that we center on our screen. In the box we have a column. I think we don't even need the box. We just need the column and center it. Yeah. The question is, what kind of text fields do we use? We can either use the material design text fields, which look a little bit different than these here. Or, well, that's something you can decide now. Should we make the text fields look exactly like on the mockups, or should we make material design text fields, which is a little bit simpler, and they also give us hints? The hints would also be something we would manually need to implement. What do you think would look better? Same. Hints would be better. Yeah, we would have hints anyways, but if we use a basic text field, then it doesn't contain hints, so we would manually need to create that functionality. Okay, looks like people want material design. Let's do that. So we have our login screen. Another question is, how do we manage our different composables? I don't want to create a separate file for every composable, but for quite complex screens, I also don't want to put them all in a single file. But I think for the login screen, that's fine because we only have a few text fields and a button and little text here. But I think for stuff like the profile here, so we would definitely split this up a bit. So we have our box here, which we don't want. Let's swap this out with a column. Remove the content alignment, and let's see. We want to center it. We want to set the vertical arrangement to center. We want to fill the max size. Do we want to fill the max size? Yes. We want to apply some padding. So I will just define some default padding here for the sides. which we can then use in our app, like here as well. Not sure if we should use it here. Let's define fixed values for that, like constants, in our UI. Let's create another file for that called dimensions. Val padding small, let's say. Set this to 8 dp. Padding medium. Maybe, don't know, 16 dp. And val padding large is 24 dp. So the reason I'm doing this is just that whenever we later want to change our padding values, we just need to do it here on the central place and not all over our app. And I'm not sure if we can actually pass these dimension values to our theme, like here. No, it doesn't look like that. In XML, we have also dimension resources. That's why I was thinking that. But yeah, let's set the padding horizontal to padding medium, I would say. So now when we change padding medium, we just change it wherever we use it in our app. And okay, now we have the column. First of all, we have a text here that says login. Let's define a string resource for that. Just login. It says login. And then we can say that is equal to a string resource, r.string why not? R. Did I import the wrong R? I think this one maybe? No. Weird. R. Years. Some of these R's that says Twitch. Oh, come on. Here, this one, social network Twitch. Import that and say string dot login. Now I have it. And put these on separate lines. We don't want the color to be white. We want to choose our material theme. Dot colors dot on background. That's our text color. If you remember here, no, here. On background is our text white. And yeah, let's set the font size to something like, oh, do we actually, we didn't even import a font. Do we want to use a custom font or just the default one? I think it's Roboto. I think we used Roboto, that's fine. So yeah, let's use Roboto. What did we actually use here? I don't remember. Quicksand, oh. What does Roboto look like? I mean, it also looks cool. Let's make a little survey. If you like Roboto, then 1 in chat. And if you like Quicksand, which is this register text, 2 in chat. Oh, looks like Quicksand looks better. All right, then we use Quicksand. Thank you. I don't think I have that font on my PC, at least not in all variants. let's quickly Google for that. And yeah, it's Google Fonts. Just get the whole family, save file. Yeah, we'll check that out here. Downloads. Oh, it's downloading somewhere else. All downloads. Ah, here. Okay, I have it. Perfect. Simply take these and create a font folder. No. Resource directory. Not a resource file directory. This one. And say we want to have a font. And paste these. And these are not, these don't have the right naming conventions. Bold, quicksand light. Android resources, oops, that's regular. Android resources always need to be lower letter. Okay, now we have these font files. So what we can do is go to type, and that defines our basic typography. Here we can define a font family. Quicksand is equal to font family. And here we can define our fonts actually. So one font is outer font. Dot, oh come on. Outer font dot quicksand light. We need to say, hey, this is font weight dot light. And we do this for each of our weights. Regular, quicksand medium, quicksand semi-bold, and bold. I think it's normal, yes. Medium, semi-bold, bold. Then, for our typography, for the font family, we don't use the default, instead we use quicksand. And here we can now define different text styles. So let's think about it. We definitely want to have a headline style. So I think it's H1, yes. So we now can just define styles that will apply to all of our headlines. Font family will be quicksand as well. Font weight will be bold. Font size is, yeah, what do we do? Let's say 30. Styling is so much better with Compose. I agree. It was a pain to use all these XML files. Let's have an H2. We don't need to define all headline variants. I think H1 and H2 is fine. Font weight is, let's semi-bold or medium. Let's choose medium. And 24 is P. What else do we have? Subtitle 1. Let's actually take a look at our markups. So we definitely need a normal font, which I would say is our body 1. But this is a different text style than this one here. Let's say this is body 2, the smaller body. I would say That is actually sufficient. So if we just define it body 1 and body 2, we can always extend this later. Text style, font family, quicksand, font weight. That is font weight. Do we use normal or even light for the smallest type? Let's choose normal. And the size, let's choose 12 as P. So it's a little bit smaller than the body 1 font. Okay. So now this typography variable object will be passed in our theme here to our material theme. And we can use that in our login screen. So let's say material theme dot typography, and this one is H1. And it still gives us an error. Why though? What we can also do is we can remove the color and define the colors in the typography. Let's do that. We can say, what is this color here? I don't even have this color, I think, in my colors. Or do I? No. Well, text gray, I would say. And pass that here. And then we can say that we pass this color here to our body 1. Color is text gray. And this will then apply to all of our texts in Compose. Let's say here as well. H1 will be text white. And we obviously can override this later for individual texts. But I'm still wondering why we get an error here. It says it can't match the function, but I mean, we pass a string. And oh, font size, yeah. It is actually, what is that? It's a text style, right? Yeah. Yeah, that's how it works. Okay. We want to align this at the start, which is, I think, the default. So let's add a spacer. Let's change this actually, not padding small. Instead, we say maybe space small, space medium, and space large. How long will the stream go? I think maybe 1.5 hours from now. Then we also have 4 hours like last time. I think it's a good time. And then I will stream next Thursday again. And here we change this to space medium. And here we can pass space small. And now we wanted to use a material design field. So that's, I think, just a text field. Yes. So we have a value for that, and we actually don't want to put all of that in our login screen. Let's create a composable for that, which is, the question is, I don't think we want to put this in the login screen file, because we need these text fields over and over in our whole app. We need these in login, registration, profile editing, here for searching. So it's actually a composable that we need in our whole app. Question is, do we put this now in a specific package, or do we put it in util? Or total new package? I kind of don't want to put it in the login package or so. Make a components package. Yeah, that's a cool idea. Let's do that. Components, remove this. File for, how do we call this? Like standard text field, I would say. Okay. We want to be able to pass some default text. We want to be able to specify a hint. We have a function when the value changes. Let's see, we will see what else we need. Text field. The value will be text, and on value change is on value change. Then, do we have a hint here? No. How is it called? Placeholder? Yes. And here we can just define a text, I think, which is hint. And the style of that will be... Do we have a style for hints? I'll just say body1. Typography body1. What else? I would say we want to fill the whole width. Okay. I think we just need to see how this looks in the app in the end. I'll leave it like that for now. We swap this out with a standard text field. Then here we have... Well, we should put this value now in a view model, right? So let's create that. Login view model. So as far as I understood, I'm not entirely sure here, is that with clean architecture we put the view models in the presentation layer, because these are directly coupled to the composables in the end and basically just provide data to observe. And then the use cases, which contain the actual business logic, they are put in the domain package. But if someone here is really good in clean architecture, then please correct me if I'm wrong. But that's at least how I understood it. We actually need to set up Dagger Hilt now if we use view models. So I'll create a DI package. And our good old app module. If you have any questions regarding dependency injection, then just ask these. But If not, then I won't explain any specific things here about dependency injection, because I think I use it quite often in projects on YouTube. Can we use Dagger 2? I don't see any reason in using it. Dagger Hilt is much easier. And I've never ever experienced that like I need a feature that is only available with Dagger 2 and not with Hilt. So we install this in the singleton component. And then we have our functions. Do we actually have functions here? No, not yet. We need an application class. Social network application. Hilt Android app. And in here, when we're already here, we can set up Timber dot plant debug tree. Then register that application. What is Timber? Timber is a logging library. It's just a little bit more convenient than the default logger. So you don't need to define tags, and you can easily toggle if you want to have logs or not. Easily disable all of your logs for production. So from now on, we can just do timber.d and have a log here, and it will automatically create a tag for us that fits to the current scope. Then, in our view model, we have a Hilt view model. Inject constructor. What is planned in Timber? That just initializes Timber basically. So yeah, it basically just means we planned a debug tree. We make sure that we're now ready to use debug logging. So in the view model, we now want to have two states for each text field. On the one hand, that is is it email or username? Username and email. So we say, let's just call it username text is equal to immutable state of empty string, and an immutable version of that. And we have password text. Oops. How to stop in production? I think you mean Timber. That's not difficult. You can just go to your application class and say if, I think build config.debug, yes. Only if we're debugging, we want to plant the tree, and else you just won't log at all. So then we need two functions to actually set that text. So function set username text. Whoops. And we just say username text.value is equal to username. And the same for the password. Like this, and then let's clear that up a little bit. What is the best practice for view models in Jetpack Compose? Do you initialize all view models in the main activity and provide them as params in the screen composables? Yeah, you will see how I do that. With Dagger Hilt, we actually have a cool solution for that. So we want to now go back to the login screen. And here you will see how I do that. We can basically scope our view models to the navigation graph. So view model of type login view model, and that's equal to, I think it's Hilt view model. Yes, that gives us our view model. And that is, as far as I know, the recommended way to do it at the moment. Also another reason why I use Hilt. It's just much easier to provide these view models here in composables. So now we can say, here in our standard text field, the value is view model dot username text dot value, and on value change, why is it red? Is it text? Yes. And in on value change, we say view model dot set username text to it. Yeah. Then what we also need in the standard text field is we need to somehow pass what kind of text field we have. So for the the password text field, we obviously want to have we want to hide the password, and we want to have the toggle option. Good question. How do we do that? I think the text field already has a value for that. With material design, that is probably easy. Let's take a look. We have there are a lot of values we actually want to pass as parameter. Also something like isError. Then we want is it keyboard options, keyboard actions, something of that. How we can define how we actually want the things to look like. Keyboard options. Think that is what I'm looking for. Can we say keyboard type? Keyboard type, yeah, here, password. So let's pass keyboard type as well. Is equal to keyboard type dot text by default, let's say. And here we set this to keyboard type. What else do we have here? Yeah, nothing important. Yeah. So we simply copy this, paste it. Now we have our password field. Set single line to true. That's true. We have a password text value. Set password text to it. What is IME action done? And here we can, oh, we actually also want to pass a hint. String resource. r.string dot password hint. Little trick here. I usually don't go to strings XML and define these. You can just type a name here, press Alt plus Enter, and create string resource for that. And here you can enter a value. It's much quicker. Enter your password, for example. And then we also want a hint here. Let's say username / email. And let's change the password hint. Just password. Then we have our keyboard type. We set it to password. One question I have now is, how do we display this eye here to toggle the visibility? I'm sure there is an option in Compose. Doesn't look like there is a parameter. Trailing icon. Oh, there is one. Yes, you're right. But then it looks like, do we already have that as implemented behavior? Or do we have to implement the behavior on our own? Because in XML we could just toggle a boolean for that. It looks like we need to toggle this on our own. Fine. So here we have an icon. I mean, then we need to implement some functionality here. Let's see if there's an icon for toggle password. Let's better Google if there's a way to do that. They use a leading icon, but yeah, they have a custom icon for that. Icons filled visibility. That is what I'm looking for. Filled dot visi. Okay, there is no icon. Maybe there is an default icon. No. With what is tacity? That is exactly what I want here. Oh. Okay, we need more icons. Let's take this and go to our build.gradle. That should add our icon that we want. So then what we need is definitely state val var is password toggle displayed. And it's initially false. Like this. Question is, we only want to display it if the keyboard type is password. So we can actually do keyboard type equal to keyboard type password. Do we actually need a state for that? Yeah, because that could change. And then we also have a state is password visible. And that also starts, no, that always starts with false. And then we use the state we have here. We actually only want to show the icon if our password toggle is displayed. Let's make this an icon button. Let's see, what do we need for that? Icon button and on click listener, obviously. And here, for the image vector, if is password visible, we choose, oh, that's a weird formatting, icons that filled that visibility. Now we have it. Then we say visibility off, and else visibility. Okay, cool. When we click this button, we're going to toggle it. Content description is if is password visible. Let's choose a string resource. Or that string password visible content description. And we don't have R again. Let's see. Yeah, this one. And then we can create this. So that is hide password. And else we use password hidden content description. That is show password. Okay. That can be a val. So quite a bit of setup to make that work, hopefully. But also something we can easily write UI tests for. What's up with our bug? Yeah, that is weird. There are thousands of R's we can import here. But it looks like it doesn't always import the right one by default. the array that actually refers to our own resources. Yeah, well, let's take a look back. Here. What's missing is just this text. So we need to show this at the bottom of our screen. But right now we have a column with which we can't do that. So what I do is I put this in a box. Modifier.fillMaxSize. And then we can put this column in here. We can say we want to align this in the center. And down here we have a text. The text will be our registration call to action. So string resource, maybe don't have an account yet. Sign. Oh no, we don't do it like this. Because we want to show this sign up in green. So what we need is an annotated string. So we need build annotated string. And in here we can say append string resource. Now we can define the first part. Don't have an account yet. We append a space, and then we append another string resource that just says sign up. And with this annotated string builder, we can give these individual parts different text styles. That's the cool thing. Oh, come on. What do I even want to do? Not this. I think we can now define... No, we can't. We need to do it differently. We need to say with style. Okay, we can define a text style. You have to make null the trailing icon parameter. I have to make another text field for passwords because in normal text field it will leave space at the end. Why? I mean, we have this state here. If the keyboard type is not equal to password, we don't even show this trailing icon here. So then it's just a normal text field. So yeah, we will see how it works. Let's set the style to text style. The color is this time green. Oops, material theme. Accent green, or green accent. No, colors. It's primary, this one, I mean. And here we can then append this stuff. Oh, and there. Here we don't have access to string resources. So let's save that in a variable. like this. And this still gives us an error because that needs to be a span style. So yeah, we want to take the text, give it a style, a default style of material theme, typography, body 1, modifier, dot, I want to align this at the bottom center. And I think right now we don't even have any padding at the bottom. So let's just make this padding from all sides. I don't know. Let's just try it out. Yeah, I think we used that in our navigation. Yes. I'm also just seeing that the emulator is a little bit overlapped with my camera. So maybe you can do it like this as long as we test it. And Gradle is taking ages. There's our splash screen. And there is our crash. Let's take a look. So we can't have live update screen of what we're doing in Compose like we did with design tab for XML. It doesn't work super well. We have live updates for literals. So if we change just a string or so, it will have a live update. But if we add a new composable or so, it doesn't. Let's take a look what the crash is. No, that's not it. We need this emulator. Main activity does not... Oh, okay. Yeah, I know what it is. We simply need to annotate this with Android entry point, because we inject our view model here. Let's see. There we go. So it doesn't look like expected, but it looks okay at least. We have our fields here. The highlight looks quite cool. The space is a little bit too low, I think. And also here, there is no space, which is... Oh, I think I applied it to the column, not to the box. Yeah. But the password field, let's try that. That's now quite exciting. Hello. That doesn't work. Oh, because is it visible? No. I mean, the toggling of the icon works, but the password field is not as we want to have it. Let's first take the box and apply some padding here. Space, let's say space large, and we remove this one. So let's actually try this out. If we click apply changes, I think sometimes it does apply these, but very often it gives us an error. See, now it worked. So in terms of spacing, that looks a little bit better. I want to increase the space here. And I want to actually move this up. So let's have a custom padding. Start space large and top and bottom is just more, maybe 50 dp. See, now it didn't work, even though I didn't change anything else than before. So I always just relaunch the app. If you don't change much, you can see it just is really quick. And I will also remove the delay for the splash screen, just for testing stuff. Nope, this one. Set it to 0. So now the spacing looks fine. How long will the stream go? Yeah, probably like 45 more minutes. And in the end, I will make a little Q&A round for like 15 minutes. So half an hour of coding, 15 minutes of Q&A. But I really want to figure out this password field, at least in this stream. This doesn't work right now. Let's see. I mean, we do pass the keyboard type, right? Yes. I mean, otherwise it also wouldn't show the icon here. It's called visual transformation or visual options, I guess. Oh, yeah, that's true, I think. I think what I'm doing here is just that the keyboard is set up for passwords, but not the text field, actually. So let's take the visual transformation. Visual transformation. How does that work? Annotated string. I don't want a fully custom one, I just want a freaking password. Is there... Let's ask Google. Password visual transformation. No, there is none. Visual transformation. Maybe this one. Let's see. Please use dark theme for Chrome. Oh, this is Firefox, but I can do that for the next stream. Don't think that there is a plugin by default here in Firefox. Password text field. Check this here. Oh, capital P. I see. Password Yes, perfect. And this only applies if our password toggle is actually displayed, or if the, yeah, password visual transformation. Else we use just visual transformation none. So that looks like it. Yes, now it displays a password and we can't toggle it. Why? Because we don't make this dependent of the state. We need to make this is password visible actually. If it's not visible, we want to show the password transformation. So let's see. Yes, now it works. That looks cool. Oh, that's not cool. Why is that? If is password visible? Sure, because here it's not visible. So we actually want to make sure that it's not visible and the toggle is displayed. So now, yeah, here we see it, here we don't, and here we can toggle it. Cool. That looks like it's working. But to be able to verify that, let's write some test cases to finish off the stream and then get over to the Q&A. So, yeah, we also need to think about if we leave the background here dark. I don't know yet. We can think about that in the next time, in the next stream. Let's have, hopefully, a real UI test case here for our standard text field. Again, Android test. I don't want the JUnit assertions. And we can say completely fill username text field. You will see bug. Why? Which bug? Yeah, we should, yeah, if you mean that we should choose a maximum size for that, maximum length, yeah. We should definitely do that. Android JUnit 4. I don't actually know if Compose renders these native. I don't think so. I don't think the Android team would implement Compose stuff with the Android View composable. Oh, not again, not the test. Yes, now we will test. You will get nightmares of that tonight. First of all, do we set a maximum length here? Let's quickly do that before we test it. Max length. Default it to 20 or so. Well, let's say 40. Email is quite longer. Do we have a property here for max length? Yes, no, we don't. Do we have to keep track of that? looks like that. So when we change here, when you change the value, we want to check if the text is, or the text length is less than our max length. And only if it is, we call on value change without text. I think that's it, or is it? Let's set it to 5 for testing purposes. I was talking about space left at the end when you fill username. Let's see what you mean. But see if the... No, it doesn't work at all. If the text length is less than the max length, then we call on value change. That's correct, is it? No. Or? I mean, now we can type it all. Because the text length, what is our text length? It's empty. So 0 is definitely less than 5. Why doesn't it trigger? If... Oh. If it.length. You're right. So now it doesn't work. Still doesn't work. That's weird. That is weird. Maybe reset the text every time you load the app. Not sure what you mean. If it.length less than max length, only then we trigger our function. I mean, if we change this, sometimes I just try out weird things, but that doesn't make sense. But now it should trigger because we obviously invert the if condition. No, still doesn't. That is really weird right now. So the actual inversion would be this. Try to pass it on value change. I mean, oh, you're right. No, I don't need to update the state because the state is maintained in our login screen, not in this standard text field. So now it works, and we can type 4. So we need to make this less or equal. And then we relaunch this. So thank you to you two guys who suggested that. And thanks for the follow, Mr. Who Knows. So now we can exactly type 5 characters here as well. Perfect. Let's increase that to 40 again. Yeah, perfect. And thank you, Hackbyte7, for the follow. Now let's get to the fun part, the testing. So we have quite a lot of stuff to test here. Let's first test the maximum text size. So again, compose test rule. Function enter true long string max length not exceeded, I would say. And this is a test, of course. So now we can say compose test rule, set content. We want to set it to our material theme. Thanks for the follow, BlackSenji12. And that is the composable here. Okay, we're going to set it to simply our... Let's set it to the login screen because we maintain the state there. I mean, I think in terms of code style, it's better if we don't use the login screen because we test the standard text field. We don't test the login screen. Let's do that, and I think we should then just maintain the state in here. So I think we should be able to do that in the before function. So we just say, oops, compose test rule, set content. And here we use our standard text field. On value change, we want to have a state for the text. Text is text. Question is, no, I think we can't do that in the setup function. Can we? Because we still need access to the text to assert stuff. Okay. And can we put this in here? I think no. Well, we don't need to make the assertions with the text state, I think. So it should be fine. Let's just try it. So we have the text, we have on value change, in which we just update our text with it. Bye bye boy, 12 hoodie. Have a good night. Thanks for watching. Yeah. So if we now take our text field, first of all, we need to detect it. We use our compose test rule on node with text. No. We can actually say on all nodes. Or how do we do this? Do we have a content description? No. Can we set a content description? No. Okay. Then we need to assign a tag. So what we can also do is we can say semantics and set a test tag. Standard text field. And with that tag, we can then find it. On node with tag, standard text field. What do we want to do? We want to type some text. Perform text input. So the default maximum length is 40. Let's enter something. Let's just set the maximum length here to something lower, like 5. And we enter something with 6 letters. Then we want to assert no, we need to do that separately, I think. Then we want to use the test rule again on node with tag. This time we want to assert that text contains text equals. I want to make sure that it's just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Because the maximum length is set to 5, we enter 6 letters, but we want to make sure that it actually only enters 5. Does that make sense? Where and when are you going to upload these streams? You can find the first streams here on Twitch as well as recordings, but in future, if you want to access all streams of all times, they will be available for channel members on YouTube. And this failed. Maybe, I mean, it should actually do that. Let's run again and take a look at the screen. Yeah, I mean, the text field is there, but it doesn't enter something. Why? Perform text input. That's always the case, that you need more time to write your freaking test cases than you need to write the actual function. But it's also because I'm quite new to compose testing. Perform text input. So I think it just doesn't find this standard text field. What if we pass a modifier here? Then we don't need to pass the default tag. Is that because there are 2 text fields? No, there's only 1. We're not testing our login screen, we're testing the standard text field in isolation. So, see, we only have 1 text field here. But now we can apply modifier. And we can define the semantics just for a test case. But I don't think this changes anything. Good night, Mr. Who Knows. See you next time. Thanks for watching. Is this the right function to perform text input? But it sounds like so. Perform text replacement? No. What does the doc say? Oh man. What if we change this? It seems like it doesn't even send the text. Let's try on all nodes. No. Semantics matcher. No. No idea how that works. On node with text. What if we try that? And let's say we have our text by default that says test. A node with text test. And we perform, let's say text input. And then it should now say test 1. Right? Because that's 5 letters. I think it's just adding up the text. And of course, we need this as well here. Yeah, I saw that the text was actually entered. So let's try that again. And it failed. No, it still doesn't work. Because this is the standard text. This is not what we entered. Oh man. On node with tag. We say standard text field again. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, what if we put this in here? I'm sure that's not it, but no. Yeah, what do we do? This is really weird. I'm sure it's a very, very minor issue. Yeah. You're right. I should end the stream for today, or at least head over to the Q&A round. And then I'm sure we can solve this next time. On Thursday, 5 p.m. Central European Summer Time. So yeah, if you have any questions, again, can be anything, just put them here. You're welcome, Harsha Suda. Thanks for watching. Oh, and we also should, of course, commit this. Implemented login screen and started writing test cases. Oh, and we also implemented the splash screen and login screen and start writing test cases for both. Thank you, Obi-Wan, Kenozi, and Chirac. Commit and push. Please update it on YouTube for normal subscribers too. No, I will upload it for channel members, as I said. You know, this is work for me. And if I do 2 streams a week, 4 hours, then this is a whole work day that I spend here. And with Twitch itself, I earn nothing. So I somehow need to pay my bills, obviously. It's just €5 a month. So I think that's affordable for most here. Hi, Arturo. Can you stream on YouTube? Yeah, I need to figure that out. I can also stream to Twitch and YouTube simultaneously. But I kind of want to build an audience more on Twitch than, I mean, on YouTube I have videos. I just want to have another platform where I'm present, that I'm not fully dependent on YouTube. Sure, my audience is on YouTube, but I can get them over to Twitch as well. And on YouTube, I will upload the streams. How can you stay so calm when you can't seem to figure stuff out? If I was you, I would have flat out every groan under the sun by now. I mean, you get used to it. That's just coding. That's how it is. If these things wouldn't happen, it would be boring. When will you upload these videos to YouTube? I will make them ready in the next few days. So yeah, maybe I can even upload one tomorrow from the last week. Need to cut that together. Then I hopefully can download today's stream from Twitch. Then I will upload that also in a few days. And then I think the next stream from Thursday on, that will be the first stream that is for channel members on YouTube. So in case you missed the live stream. If emulator is harsh on your computer while streaming, why not use a physical device? Yeah, I could do that, but don't like to use a physical device in a live stream where all my personal information is on and stuff. Or was it really laggy here in this live stream? I think only while building. It's not too often. What time is it? It's almost 9 p.m. And I'm super hungry. Yeah, we'll make some good food in a moment after the stream. But during these streams, I actually don't feel hungry at all. That's something. I mean, if you're in a diet, then that's cool. Because I'm always busy. It's actually not so easy to code, to take a look at the chat, and to entertain you. Have you ever thought that you could teach online, for example, paid course of 10 people where you talk to them, and the goal would be, for example, associated Android developer course? Do you mean like a live coaching? I've thought about doing coachings, but I think that's something for the future. I personally want to get just some more really practical experience in freelancing and stuff before I would offer something like that. Because if I do coaching, then it should be top notch. And you should be able to ask me anything in that case. But there are also things in the Android framework I haven't worked with yet. Good night, Harsha Suda. Sleep well. Are you working in any company? No, I'm not. I'm working for myself. Just because you don't feel hungry doesn't mean we don't either. You can always eat. I can't just walk away in the live stream and make some food. I mean, I can, but I guess I would lose some viewers. What do you think about the Google Android Developer Certificate? Yeah, I think the certificate itself is good because it's from Google. They must know what's important for Android developers. But personally, I'm not a friend of just collecting thousands of certificates. Because in the end, what counts is, can you build solid projects? But I'm sure many companies will like it if you have that certificate. And also maybe on platforms like Upwork, maybe that helps if you can say, hey, Google actually says I'm a good developer. But it's, yeah, as Maxstar says, it's not necessary. But helpful for sure. How much did you earn from YouTube per month? From YouTube ads. That's really not much. It's a lower three-figure money. Yeah, see you Thursday, Masked Redstoner Pro. Thanks for watching. How old are you? I'm 23. I'm burning the midnight oil to watch this live stream. Awesome, man. Do you have a car or do you plan to get one? Yes, I just got a car last Friday. Super hyped. It saves so much time for me. Like usually, I mean, I'm in the gym usually 4 to 5 times a week, and if I have to take the bus, that took me like around an hour for both ways, and with a car I now only need 10 minutes per way. So if I just work instead of taking the bus, then I can easily afford the car with the work that I do when I'm not taking the bus. What are you building? So if you mean the app here, it's a social network for my community using Ktor as a backend. See you, man, on Thursday, and congrats for the new car. Thank you, Chirac. See you. It's time for an overdrift, yes. Maybe I can make some car vlogs on the Autobahn. Someone asked for that today. Feels like that is always special for foreigners who come to Germany, driving on the Autobahn. How many of you have ever been to Germany? That would be cool to know. Want to? Yeah, come over. We get some ice cream. I was in Hohenfels. Where is that? Seems like a very small village. Internet was trash, I believe that. Germany really sucks in regards to mobile internet. Do you play any game? No, not really. If I play something, then usually something chill or something you don't need a lot of practice to be good at. I thought about with to play some games here and there with Coding in Flow and Code Palace, because that with these people it's really funny. But for some games you actually need more than 3 people. For example, we thought about Gartic Phone, which is a very funny game. It's free, and a lot of streamers actually also play this. But I think with only 3 people it's not that much fun. Let's create a fan meetup in Germany, yeah. If you could arrange that, then come over. And I'm always open to do that. But I don't think we get enough people together here, because most of my followers are not from Germany. So how about we end the stream now and then get back on Thursday, hopefully being able to fix this bug here with the testing stuff. Maybe in between I'll also get a little bit more into compose testing. I'm very new to that. And I'm sure that's just a stupid bug or stupid issue. But I really want to say thank you for everyone who watched this stream. We were a lot more people on average than in the last stream, which I think is because we actually coded. So I hope this average number rises in future. That would be really exciting. But thanks for everyone who watches this. Thank you for everyone who will also be there on Thursday, 5 p.m. CST. And I will also announce this on Instagram again and stuff like that. But I wish you a good night, good morning, wherever you are. And yeah, you can see the recording on Twitch, hopefully. But I think I checked the box. Otherwise, in the next stream will definitely be recorded. So, yeah. Have a nice night. Till Thursday. Bye.